Well, good day, everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar entitled EHDI After Newborn Screening, the status of meeting the diagnostic evaluation by 3 months of age and intervention enrollment by 6 months benchmarks among babies born in 2021 in 35 states. My name is Will Iserman, and I'm the Associate Director of the National Center for Hearing Assessment and Management, known as NCHAM at Utah State University. And NCHAM, as you may know, serves as the EHDI National Technical Resource Center, or the EHDI NTRC. And we sponsor a variety of different webinars like the one we're having today. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if anything disrupts your full participation, it looks like our video has suspended for our interpreter. So I'm going to pause for a moment.
Hey, William, this is Gunnar.
While
okay on my
get
end,
that.
so it might just be you.
Okay, good. If it happens on your end, just let me know.
Will do.
So we are going to have this webinar recorded. So if anything disrupts your full participation in today's webinar, or if you think of somebody who might benefit from today's presentation who isn't attending live, you can direct them to our website, infanthearing.org, in a couple of days, probably by the beginning of next week. And you'll be able to stream today's webinar and share it with whomever you'd like or review it again. I want to give a shout out to our captioners, our captioner and our interpreters today. Thank you for your talents and availability to help this webinar be as accessible as possible. After our presenter has completed her remarks for today, we will open up the floor to questions. So hold your questions until we open up the floor for that. And then I will read the questions so that our presenter has an opportunity to think about them and then give a response. So our presenter today is Suhana Ima, who serves as an epidemiologist with the CDC EHDI team. She's responsible for analyzing EHDI data and disseminating findings with jurisdictional EHDI programs and partners. She also provides technical assistance to EHDI programs to improve their program and tracking and surveillance work. She holds a Master's of Public Health from the University of Georgia. Suhana was born with severe to profound hearing loss in both ears and wears hearing aids. She's fluent in American Sign Language and lip reads as well. So we will turn the mic over to Suhana. Thank you, Suhana, for being with us today and sharing what you have for us today.
Thank you so much, Will, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Suhana. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Let me adjust my screen just a little bit. Okay. So I'm with the CDC EHDI team, so thank you for having me today. I will be presenting on the status of meeting the diagnostic evaluation by 3 months of age and enrollment into intervention services by 6 months of age among the babies born in 2021 in 35 states. So according to the CDC national data, about 1 out of 500 babies born deaf or hard of hearing. And this is a public health issue because undetected hearing loss can have adverse developmental effects that could have lasting impacts on the children. So to minimize the risk for developmental delays, it is recommended for babies to get a hearing screen before 1 month of age. And those who did not pass the hearing screen should get diagnostic evaluation by 3 months of age. And those who have permanent hearing loss should enroll in intervention services before 6 months of age. That is known as the 136 benchmarks. So the hearing screen area is doing so well. Over 95% of the newborns get hearing screened before 1 month of age. The majority of them in the hospital before they go home. So for this study, we decided to focus on the 3 and 6 benchmarks. Under the current CDC cooperative agreement, 39 jurisdictional EHDI programs report limited individual level data on babies born in a specified calendar year. So in this study, we used data that were reported by the recipients May of this year on babies born in 2021. Because the quality issues were not yet submitted, 4 recipients are not included in this analysis. This analysis includes 35 recipients. So in this study, we excluded babies who died or moved out of their state or territory. So the analysis includes 2.1 million babies. Again, that's for 35 jurisdictions. The analysis was done using SAS 9.4 software. So we learned that among 2.1 million babies born in 2021, 37,000 babies failed the hearing screen as final outcome. It does include infants who did not get a hearing screen due to being referred directly to diagnostic evaluation. Among those 37,000 babies, 59% received a follow-up diagnostic evaluation where a diagnosis was made of a normal hearing, transient hearing loss, or permanent hearing loss. The other 40% did not get sent by an audiologist, or they did get sent by an audiologist but do not yet have a confirmed diagnosis. In addition, among 37,000 babies who did not pass the hearing screen, 45% met the 3-month benchmark. As mentioned earlier, it is recommended for infants to get diagnostic evaluation before 3 months of age if they do not pass the hearing screen. So here, as we see on this slide, the age at diagnosis is calculated by taking the date of initial confirmed diagnosis minus the infant's date of birth, and that gives us the age in days. Initial confirmed diagnosis is defined as the first date where a confirmed diagnosis was made. So it could be normal hearing, permanent hearing loss, or transient hearing loss. So sometimes infants, they have multiple evaluations. So we take the date of when was the first confirmed diagnosis for assessing the 3-month benchmark purpose. So for an example, if the infant got 3 diagnostic evaluation, the first one doesn't have a confirmed diagnosis, but the second one did, we'll use the date for the second one when calculating the age. If the baby was diagnosed before 3 months of age, the baby met the benchmark. If beyond 3 months, the baby did not meet the benchmark. In this analysis, we saw that the mean age at diagnosis is 77 days, which is within 3 months, and the median is 52 days. Now looking at the intervention enrollment. In 2021, among 35 jurisdictions, we saw that about 3,600 babies were documented to have a permanent hearing loss. So among those babies, 56% were documented to be enrolled in intervention services, and that includes both Part C and non-Part C. So among those babies with permanent hearing loss, 39% met the 6-month benchmark. Age at the enrollment is calculated by taking the date of enrollment, per se or non-per se, minus the infant's date of birth, and that gives the age in days. If the age is within 6 months of age, the baby met the benchmark. If beyond 180 days, the baby did not meet the 6-month benchmark. So again, that's for 35 jurisdictions. The mean age at enrollment for babies with permanent hearing loss is 159 days, and the median is 120 days. So we performed multiple logistic regression to predict the receipt, the likelihood of infants who did not have the hearing screen, and also predict enrollment for intervention enrollment for babies with permanent hearing loss. So first we will look at the diagnosis receipt. So we saw that the odds of NICU babies receiving a diagnostic evaluation is 50% higher than for non-NICU infants. We also saw that the odds of WIC babies receiving diagnostic evaluation is 30% higher than for non-WIC babies. Not surprisingly, we saw the higher the mother's education, the higher the odds of babies getting a diagnostic evaluation compared to babies whose moms had below high school education. We also saw that the babies of Asian mothers have 20% higher odds of receiving diagnostic evaluation compared to babies of Hispanic mothers. Now looking at the intervention enrollment, we saw that the odds of NICU babies being enrolled in intervention services is higher, 10% higher than for non-NICU babies. And the same is for WIC babies. The findings show that babies whose mothers have higher education are more likely to get enrolled in EI compared to babies of moms with below high school education. But the findings here are consistent with the previous slide. So that's the summary of the 2021 data for 35 jurisdictions. And as we could see that individual level data provide great opportunities and allows us to do a detailed analysis and learn a lot from it, and also allows for informed tracking through the edu process. It also allows for identifying the gaps and areas that need improvements. The findings also allow for the specific populations within the state or territory that the EDU program and partners should consider targeting to improve equity and access to services. The findings also show that the more work is needed to increase receipt and timeliness as infants getting follow-up services. It is critically important for babies who are therefore hard of hearing to get time-sensitive services to minimize the risk for developmental delay and make sure they are able to reach their maximum potential. So the CDC would like to thank the recipients for their hard work in reporting this data. We will not be able to do this analysis and learn so much without their support. So that is all for me. I would like to open the floor to everyone. If does anyone have questions for me today?
Great. Thank you so much, Suhana. And this is Will Iserman again from NCHAM and the EHDI NTRC. So we have one question and a thank you from this audience member. What were the screening tests that were used? And was it a one-phase or a two-phase screening protocol? Suhana, Suhana, you are muted. Start over, please.
Oh, yes, sorry. So I was saying that some states do one-stage screening and some states do two-stage or phase screening protocol. So for this analysis, we take the result of the final most recent hearing screen results.
This is Will from NCHAM again. The next question is, what do you attribute the higher rate of follow-up found among families who were enrolled in WIC?
That is a very good question, and I would love to open up a discussion why we're saying that babies who are enrolled in WIC are more likely to get follow-up compared to non-WIC. And does anyone would like to add comments to this one? Or may have idea of why this is so?
Yeah, so if anybody has a suggestion of how to interpret that finding, it sounds like Suhana and her team are open to hearing what you think that means from your own experience and perspectives. Let's see, Suhana, if anybody responds to that and we can return to that question. The next question is, were the Asian babies receiving early intervention services lower than the white babies?
Let me check. That's what I'm saying here. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So returning to the question about WIC, one of our participants is saying, do you think there is a connection to the maternal and child health programs themselves?
Could you repeat the question, please?
We are returning to that question about what do you attribute the higher rate found follow-up found with families who were enrolled in WIC? And this person said, do you think maybe it is related to the maternal and child health program itself?
I mean, that's possible. I don't have all the answers. That's a great discussion topics to discuss among state edu program. This is what we're saying in the data, and I think that's very interesting that the WIC babies have more likelihood of getting follow-up services compared to non-WIC babies. So does other state edu programs have more input? Would like to add to this one why they think the WIC babies get more?
Yeah, it certainly highlights a potential strategy for EHDI programs who are looking for ways to increase follow-up by perhaps engaging more actively with WIC programs and promoting WIC services for families who are qualified or eligible for those programs. So another question. Did you track the etiology of reduced hearing levels for the children in your study?
Yes, as of right now, the data collection, we do not track the etiology of reduced hearing levels for children in our study.
Okay. Is there a way to find out which states are included in your study?
Yes, so I mean, it's a long list, but under the current cooperative agreement, we fund 39 state edu program, but due to quality issues for some, this analysis includes 35 states, and I'm happy to provide the list of those 35 state names that were included.
So this is Will again. So should anyone who is interested in a more detailed report contact you via email, Suhana, to get information like that?
Yes, absolutely. I welcome emails. Anyone can send me email and ask questions if they have.
Okay, great. Gunnar, could you put Suhana's email in the chat, please, so that everyone can see how to contact her? So the next question is, from my experience, this is again returning to the question about those WIC families. This person is saying, from my own experience, I think that WIC families are more inclined to respond to EHDI program initiatives to inform parents to have a follow-up. And another person is saying, perhaps because there are other supports in place to lead the family, that might be another explanation of WIC follow-up. There's something here, isn't there, about what is happening with WIC families that perhaps we could learn about and try to replicate for families that are interfacing with other programs other than WIC. Something unique is happening there that is worth knowing more about. And this person is saying, I think more eyes on the baby, the likelier they are to be identified. And families seen in WIC clinics are followed closely by caseworkers. When a child is identified as deaf or hard of hearing, they may have continued follow-up actions for that child. Another person is saying, I wonder if families receiving WIC have another variable, such as intrinsic motivation or access to high quality primary care, in which the provider is likely to share resources working in their favor. Another person is surmising, could it have something to do with insurance coverage? Another person is suggesting, these are all great hypotheses. Could the WIC findings be attributed to WIC providing accurate demographics? WIC families keep their contact information current. So another question, Suhana. Can you explain when is enrollment? As soon as eligible or as soon as the IFSP is signed?
Yes, so for this analysis, I use the date of IFSP, the date when the IFSP was signed, and if that's not available, then I use the date of when the family was enrolled in non-Part C. Usually IFSP indicates Part C. Did that answer the question, Hillary?
Gunnar, I experienced a technological glitch just now. Did you?
No, I think it was just on your end. Everything seems okay. Yeah, it looks like Will might be having some internet issues. Suhana, if you click the Q&A button down at the bottom of the screen, you should be able to see the questions if you would like to answer them yourself. The ones down at the bottom should be more recent.
Okay.
I am back. Can you hear me?
This is Gunnar. Yes, I can hear you now, Will.
Sorry, I was kicked off. Here is a question for you. Was there any data that showed the mothers' ages in the WIC program?
We do not have that data of the mother's age when they're enrolled in the work program.
Gunnar, I am having a problem. If you could pick up reading the questions from where Karen Diddy's comment is and go down from there.
Okay, yep, I can take over.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a few more comments about that WIC question. Sarah says, I'm an audiologist and I work in the child health program at DPH, and WIC personnel are in our building. We interact with them often and they refer to us as needed. And Lisa says, by way of information, if a family is on WIC, they have regular interviews with nurses. I believe on the WIC management team. Parents have to take their babies and have a physical look at the mom and child to continue. Okay, we have another question here. It says, in relation to the WIC, okay, so linkage to maternal and child health programs, perhaps this is the same for NICU infants. Were they enrolled in a perinatal program, development follow-up clinic, or are infants enrolled in WIC? NICU grads are at a higher risk for needing a broader range of services. This person thinks yes, looking at co-occurring events would help reduce loss to follow-up. And then we have a new question here from Polly. What kind of intervention services did children receive specifically, and did you collect info on whether it was a signing, cueing, or listening and spoken language program?
We do not collect that information about specific what type of intervention the kids are getting.
Okay, great. We have another question here that just came in. You report for 35 states, which is substantially fewer than states reporting from 2014 to 2019. Do you understand the reason for this drop?
Could you rephrase the question because I'm not understanding this one?
Yeah, we can see if they can rephrase it. Another question, do you think there would be a difference in the data if measured from eligibility date of enrollment instead of IFSP Part C?
Could be. I honestly do not know, but I would think it would be different if we go by eligibility date instead of the enrollment into IFSP, because let's say there are 500 babies eligible, but 300 are actually enrolled in IFSP Part C. So that will be some difference in the data. But we do not collect eligibility date at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so it looks like that's all the questions we have listed. So I'll go ahead and wrap things up for us then. So thank you, Suhana, for your presentation today. Just so everyone knows, I will be posting in the chat field a survey that you can fill out if you would like to give us some feedback. And if you do that, you'll also receive a certificate of attendance. So that is in the chat field now. We'll go ahead and leave the room open for a couple minutes, but our presenter and accessibility providers are welcome to head out if they'd like. So thank you again, everybody.
All right, thank you so much for having me today. It was my pleasure to get this presentation today. My email address is on the slide, so please feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up questions after this webinar. Thank you so much.